couple of your other wide players and or central midfielders on that the club are obviously not happy with them at this moment in time. So that would be my take. My man Yakbu, could we as the viewership please ask you to kindly don the robe of shame?
He's Jakob. He's talking about Jacob.
Jacob.
Yeah,
Okay. Sorry. My fault. My mistake. I didn't get that reference.
Jakub.
Okay. On to you guys. Mr. Box Office, have you got time to wait? Have you got time to wait, Mr. Box Office? You got time for us? I could call because if you had to shoot, because I like hearing from you. But Orchie was here first. Orchie, I know it was 3-2, so scoreline wise it looks close, but you were blown away in the first half. What went wrong today, my friend?
Yeah. Mate, it's difficult to get upset when today we had, look, I know people are going to say, it's excuses, injuries, blah, blah, but, when I saw the starting lineup today, I already knew that Basuma and Johnson were a doubt, and, both weren't in the squad today. And then add to that Solanke out as well, plus all the other players that we've got out. I mean, it comes to a point where this is not really an excuse. Like, I mean, if you take away yesterday, Liverpool, right? If you take away Luis Diaz, Mohamed Salah, Virgil van Dijk, Konate, Trent, these are all players that are automatic starters. And if you take away all these automatic starters from our already not good enough squad, then you are going to struggle. I mean, that's just the reality of life. I mean, a lot of the stuff that you were saying about...
I have to agree. I have to agree. I know people don't like injuries being an excuse, but it's practically your entire starting 11 is out, right? Pretty much.
Yeah, I mean, it's beyond a joke. It's ridiculous. So, I will, there's certain... Like, it's difficult for me to say Ange. I'm still not Ange out because I still don't think that he's had the time to put together a squad that's good enough. Exactly what you were saying about Amorim. All right, obviously this is his second season. But at the end of the day, yes, it's a manager's job to get the best out of what he's got. But what he's got isn't good. We know it's not good enough anyway. Like this season, at the start of this season, we bought Solanke, we bought Odebe played about 3 games and then he got injured and we haven't seen him since. And this is a guy who possibly could have been or was supposed to be the understudy for Son on the left-hand side. I mean, I'm not even putting Werner in there because Werner's the biggest waste of space I've ever seen in my life. But even Werner's injured, so what is Ange supposed to do? Like, somebody please tell me, all right, bring in the whole of the youth team and stick them in there and we still would have lost this game. So... what is Ange going to do? So,
yeah, I hear you. No, I hear you on that. Look, you probably,
you know what I mean? But I am also.
I'll say, go on.
I am angry. I'm also really angry about, and you know me. I come on show after show after show. 3 weeks in, some of those super chats are also correct. 3 weeks in, and Levy and the board still haven't brought any players in to this squad, this absolutely decimated squad that has already had a lot of problems, and still no. All right, we brought in a goalkeeper who seems to be, he's made a couple of mistakes, but overall, I think he seems like a really good keeper. To be honest, he makes me feel more. I think he's, sometimes I get really nervous with Vicario with some of his decision making. I think he seems a little bit more. His choices and decision-making seems a bit more solid than Vicario, but, time will tell. But this is only his, fourth game in our shirt. He's literally, he's come into the club and boom, he's straight into the team, which is, fair. And I think he's done all right. But apart from that, we need defenders. We need midfielders. We need wingers. We need a backup to Solanke because Richarlison isn't it. We know Richarlison isn't it. So, we do need players. So, how can I'm sorry, the way I see football and the way I assess things is that first and foremost, the one area where our club has been let down time after time after time is the board. And this goes back all the way to even peak Poch years. Levy and the board have never, ever really backed players. Yes, they buy 1 or 2 decent players and then rest of them, they buy our kids or potentials, which they never end up really fulfilling that potential. So, right now, our current problem, I fully, before I can criticize Ange, what I will criticize Ange on, and I'm not saying he's guilt-free, is for example, Jed Spence, right? Since he's been in that team, since he had to bring him in, he's only playing because he's forced to play him. And the reason, the reason why I'm blaming Ange is, well, had he given a couple of those players a chance, because before all this injury crisis, Jed Spence wasn't getting the look in, and I'd never understood that personally. But since he's come in, I think he's been one of our best players. And if he'd brought him in earlier, if he'd actually given him a chance earlier, maybe he could have given Udogie, he could have given Porro a few more breaks, a few more rotations, and maybe our back line would have been as decimated as it is right now. So, those are the kind of questions that I would ask of Ange. But overall, at the moment, it's beyond ridiculous just how many players we've got, and it's like it gets worse week after week after week. It's like every week we get a couple of more players injured. It's ridiculous.
I understand that, Kate. That's right. That's fine, mate. Get it off your chest. That's what the fan highlight show is for. Kate, I know we spoke before, and I'm not going to ask you the question about Ange in or Ange out because I know your view on it. So I'm not going to insult you with the same question again. In terms of today, I mean, your team is injured through and through. Were you expecting any better in terms of the performance or the result today? You're on mute. Okay.
Sorry, I'm kind of numb to it. I think it's all quite funny because if you don't laugh, you literally would cry as a Tottenham fan. I backed us to lose today. I did it in a pre-match pump up and said that we'd lose. I got slated for it. As far as the injuries go, if you go back to December 2021 and Google it, there's an article about Celtic being run over with hamstring injuries due to Ange's training and system. And it's a little bit coincidental, the same thing's happening at Tottenham. So I think there is definitely some sort of, we've never suffered the injury crisis that we've got now. But even
Solanke's ankle, was that Ange's hamstring issue?
But you can nitpick odd ones, Jacob, but I'm talking about
but in general, when you say you have, let's just throw an arbitrary number. When I say there's 20 of this, but there's not, that's just not true. You're saying there's all these problems due to Ange's tactics and the training methods. I don't think that's true.
Solanke's training, and he gets a muscle injury, which suddenly develops.
He is an ankle injury.
6 weeks.
It's an ankle injury because he was taking a shot. He just said it in the press conference.
Oh, okay. That's come out in the press conference. I haven't seen that. But there's a lot of non-contact injuries. And this cult of Ange, which I hate, Jacob, I hate that people say
Basuma also got a knock. I'm just saying that we could spin narratives, but like if we want to talk about the actual injuries, it's not all Ange's fault.
What about Bentancur?
Yeah, go on. I say your bit.
7 games. Sorry,
I get that.
Kate, I'm sorry.
Can we just let Kate finish what she was saying, though, please, guys? I get you interjected. We can let Kate finish what she was saying. Sorry, Kate.
This guy has got our team. That team he put out today was good enough to beat Everton, without any shadow of a doubt. That is a good enough team to beat Everton. Not one of those players looked like they knew what they were doing. Until Mikey Moore came on, I thought we were absolutely appalling. This manager, I haven't been Ange out once. Right now, I couldn't give a monkeys if Ryan Mason takes over because I really do see this manager taking us into the relegation stuff. We're lucky we're 8 points clear of it because we are terrible. I could put that team out in a better formation with better tactics than Ange Postecoglou done today. And I'm sick to death of hearing excuses for this manager. Jim's telling me to calm down in case I have a heart attack. But do you know what? He's the most protected manager I've ever known in my life. And he's doing the worst job. How are we sitting in 15th place with a plus 11 goal difference? It's mind-boggling. This team is not a bad team. We've got some really good players in that team. Even with injuries, the team he put out today, for me, can walk on that pitch and beat Everton. But the right hand didn't know what the left hand was doing. People were out of position. It was just an absolute shambles. I'm sorry.
Yeah, but the thing is, also, what I want to say, Kate, to that is, some of your points I agree with, but then you also have to keep in mind that literally this injury crisis hasn't been ongoing for the last couple of weeks. We've had this since literally from September onwards, and literally since September onwards, we've played 3 games a week. It's like we play weekend, midweek, weekend, midweek, weekend, midweek.
And he's got players like Lancashire on the bench, kids that he said he's investing in the youth. He don't play them.
Yeah, that's the bit. That's what I was going to get to. That's the bit that I would. That's the bit that I would actually criticize Ange about, because he says he's willing to play good players, good youth players, but he never seems to do it. I don't see him ever, like when we are going through certain patches or even like midweek games, right, give the player that you just played 90 minutes, give him a break and try, bring in some of these players like Jed Spence and Langshire and, all right, Mikey Moore's been out as well. He's only just
and why
come back.
doesn't he do it? Why doesn't he do it? Because he can't do it, because he hasn't
that's
got it
what I would
up
ask
here
him.
to do it in the Premier League.
That's what I would ask him. Yeah, I mean, but at the same time,
I get you guys. I just want to go to I'm going to come to Jacob next, and I'm going to go to you, box office. Jacob, how do you see this? Because obviously today you got the injuries, you got the problems. You got Kate here saying that you still had a team good enough to beat them, and Ange's being protected. Orchie, on the other hand, it's more the board have done this by not building a good enough squad, and the injuries are not on the manager. How do you see this, Jacob?
I think, first of all, more than one thing can be true. Just because I don't think that all these injuries are down to Ange Postecoglou doesn't mean that it could be down to Ange Postecoglou. We're not there at training, but when the manager says he goes to take a shot and he twisted his ankle, that doesn't sound like Ainge twisted his ankle. When Romero takes a knock, that is different than the injury he just came back from versus Chelsea. I don't see that. So there's a lot to me that I disagree with, and then there is some things that I do agree with. So in the notion of where we are in the table, like we all said we'd take mid-table and a cup run and a solid cup run, but this is below mid-table. And it's getting to a point where, like, what do you do? I don't know. I don't know that you bring a manager in and cool, you have a good 6 weeks of players actually trying again. But to me, that's just going back to the 18-month cycle. I'm not like, I just don't even know where we go from here, because there's no sign of he changed. He did what everyone asked him to do. Change the formation, try this, try that. Everyone's FIFA manager. Everyone knows when the right sub should be. Everyone knows what the perfect 11 is. Well, he changed it all up, and we got bumped 3-0 in the first half. So then he went back to what worked, and then we, 3-2. And it's not good enough. Even if we drew 3-3, I would still feel the same way, because to me, this is an inexcusable result. Based off of every compounding evidence that we've gotten to this point, losing or drawing to Everton is unacceptable. So if you sack the guy, I really couldn't care anymore. If you keep the guy, I really couldn't care anymore. I just feel as though, I was texting KJ earlier, I just want to evaporate. I just want to just be ascended to the clouds. Don't worry about me no more. I'll rain down one day. And it's like, I just feel so lost with where we're going, because it does start from the top. Like, if the head of the snake doesn't have any idea which way it's going, how's the back of the snake going to know? And we're here as fans in the back of the snake, and we're just along for the ride. So to me, it's been not an enjoyable ride. It's been a slow deterioration, but I still stand on the business that I don't think this is all Ainge's fault. These problems are indicative of Tottenham Hotspur, and this club has often been that for a lot of managers. You can't tell me that Ange Postecoglou, our fourth choice manager in the summer, is supposed to do things that Jose Mourinho and Antonio Conte couldn't do with this club. Now, those are two serial winners, and they came here and found it running up a mountain hill. So to me, I don't think it's all his fault,
Great point.
but he is at fault for some of the things.
exactly.